And I just want people to know, if you are foolish enough to commit these type of crimes, we will find you. It may take a few days, may take a few weeks, but we will find you, and we'll get you off the streets.
That intro is a clip of Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, who is discussing one of the most horrific things that occurred in the United States in the last 7 days. And that was a brutal attack on Nung Trung, an Asian woman who happened to be coming outside of a bank after taking out roughly $4,000 to $4,500. Now, on her way back to her car, she was confronted by two people. At least one man who's 17-year-old Joseph Harrell and his, let's say, counterpart, Zainika Aisha Woods. And when the young man tried to grab for the money, he figured out that he didn't have it. And of course, he came back and then body slammed the lady to the point where she almost was paralyzed. But the mayor has come out with this message to those people in the city of Houston. Let's play that clip.
Look, let me thank everyone for being here. Let me make a few comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to Chief Fenner. I think many people have seen the incident that happened on February the 13th at about 11:30 a.m., where, and her name is Nung Trung, had just, I think, gone to a bank and was in the Bel Air area, and this individual came up and attempted to grab her, I think, like her purse, and then took off and saw that he didn't have the money, so he went back and then grabbed her and slammed her down. In fact, when I saw it, just made me, mad as hell. Slammed her down like she was a bag of potatoes. She's still recovering from that incident. And look, let me just say that any incident, any assault, shouldn't be tolerated. And I know after seeing this incident over and over again, I had a conversation with Chief, and I called him and asked whether or not what type of leads we had, and that this was somebody that we needed to apprehend, get off the streets, such that this person wouldn't do these type of things to anybody else. And just at the forefront, let me thank HPD, the detectives, all of those who worked on this case, because as you will hear, this person, as well as somebody else, has been apprehended and is not on our streets at this time. But these sort of incidents are not going to be tolerated in this city. And I just want people to know, if you are foolish enough to commit these type of crimes, we will find you. It may take a few days, may take a few weeks, but we will find you, and we'll get you off the streets. And then I will trust the other parts of our system, criminal justice system, to make sure that they remain off the streets so that it doesn't happen to somebody else. So I want to thank Chief Fenner. Want to thank the men and women, all of the detectives who worked on this case. But I can tell you that the person who committed this particular crime on Nung Trung have been apprehended, and we'll continue to work with her and her family as she recovers from an injury that should not have occurred.
So guys, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Mr. Turner is talking about, what's going on in the city of Houston. We know that Takeoff was killed in the city of Houston. There are a lot of problems in the city of Houston. Recently, it was named the dirtiest city in America. And of course, like many other big cities in America, the mayor is African American. It's the same thing with New York City, the same thing with Chicago, and also the same thing in Los Angeles. But the one thing that remains is true. The people who are perpetuating these crimes, I can guarantee you, are coming from what kind of homes? single parent homes. And who is the young man in question? A 17-year-old boy. Now, I know you're going to think that this is crazy, but what I want to do is take it back to a clip about Scott Galloway. Remember, Scott Galloway was on CNN 3 weeks ago. He talked about why the rate of single men in the United States looking for dates has declined. But this is what Mr. Scott Galloway said, why we need to empower young men, such as the juvenile that was arrested in this situation.
Married households and household formation are better citizens. They vote. They save at twice the rate. They're less likely to commit crimes. And we have fewer and fewer viable men. We have a dearth of economically and emotionally viable men. But if we don't make a massive investment in young people and make more economically and emotionally viable men, we're going to see a lack of household formation. We're going to see a decline in the middle class. And we're going to see, quite frankly, just a lot of young men who are terrible citizens.
You see, young men like this are on their way to being men who are 17 or 18. They have no hope. They have no real opportunities. They have no mentorship. You see, instead of being a healthy part of society, they're out here doing this, committing crimes. And one of the reasons is that a lot of men don't have help. They don't have fathers. They're being left out. And so now what's happening is that when these guys are being left out, they're out here committing these crimes, and you're saying, hey, the city of Houston, we're going to catch you. But Mr. Turner, these idiots that are criminals don't care about that. They may care about it after the fact, but not until they do their damage. You see, the situation is we're creating these kids and we're creating these people who don't have a lot of good manners. They don't have a lot of good situations they're coming from. And so they're entering a life of crime because they don't have the resources to be competitive. And that's something that Black Democrats or Democrats in general don't want to talk about. And that's why there's so much crime in Democratic cities. If you think about most United States cities, most of them are ran by Democrats. All right? Cities that are doing very bad, like Mike Duggan in Detroit, although that's really not his fault. You can look at cities like, I don't know, Jackson, Mississippi. That was always a good one, right? Our biggest cities in America are in extreme turmoil. New York City with Eric Adams, Karen Bass in Los Angeles, Sylvester Houston in Houston, Jim Kenney in Philadelphia. Most big cities in America are being ran to the ground by Democrats. But Democratic what? Policies. These places are unsafe. It's just the reality. Unsafe. Nobody wants to live there. And here's something else. Nobody takes it serious. And then when these people get hurt, all you want to say is, well, you know what? This particular city, here's what we're going to do. You commit a crime, you're going to get arrested. But what you're not talking about is what you're going to do to create safer environments for your citizens, more resources to these kids, and to incentivize families to become together, which would also help these young men in voting and everything else, so they're out here being in a life of crime. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.